is Andy, sometimes Mouse, and I talk about books and book-related things. And today I am giving all of you my, what month is coming up? My October TBR. As always, disclaimer, if there is that sound in the background, it is definitely my dog, and I don't have any control over her. She is her own woman. And also, if you hear a little bit of a fan sound, it is because while it is getting cool enough outside that I don't have to have the fan on full blast anymore, I do still kind of have to have the fan on, at least for the next month or two left of videos, because it's very hot in Texas, and my body doesn't react well to high heat. So that's where we're at. I just came in from outside, and so I had to cool myself down. We are talking about my October TBR. There is what I'm kind of doing for the end of the year. So Clear Your Shit is coming up, and while this is not my Clear Your Shit TBR just yet, that will be next month, I am kind of trying to finish up series that I abandoned or forgot were series, or just like forgot I was reading, which is really not that unusual of a thing to happen to me. So I am trying to do all of that, and that's just to give you an idea of some of the things that I am doing. I also really wanted to get my Goodreads Want to Read down to 1 page, and I did that. Just trying to be more conscious of the books that I'm picking up and make sure that I'm finishing series before starting new ones, because otherwise I'll wait too long and then forget what the books were even about. So we're gonna start though with my childhood rereads for the month. That is going to be the Uglies series by Scott Westerfeld. That might actually be called the Pretties series, I'm not 100% sure, but that book set, I specifically remember like waiting until the books were available at the library and like begging the librarian to give them to me. I remember starting them in Georgia and then continuing them when I moved to Texas, and I just really like the fact that I have these very distinct memories of these two very different high school libraries attached to these stories. So the plotline of these books is essentially that Tally is about to turn 16 in the first book, and in just a few weeks she'll have the operation that will turn her from an ugly person to a pretty, and as a pretty she'll live in high-tech paradise and always be having fun, like they don't even have jobs. The issue is that her friend Shay doesn't think she wants to be a pretty, and that is rebellion. So this is a sci-fi dystopian, and essentially anyone who becomes a pretty sort of becomes brainwashed, and so that's the gist of it. I'm currently reading Scott Westerfeld's Shatterglass? I think it's called, no, The Imposters, which is set in the same world, just later. So that has been interesting to be reading, but I feel like there's some things that I don't remember from the Uglies that it will be really interesting to be kind of reading them side by side before I finish the Shatterglass series, or the Imposter series. I will be reading them kind of side by side, so that'll be really interesting to see what I've forgotten and that kind of thing. So for series continuations, like I had mentioned earlier, I am going to be reading 2 more of the genre books because I don't think I'm ever going to finish them, and that is The Bearers of the Black Staffs and The Measure of Magic, both by Terry Brooks. This is set 500 years after the genesis of genre books, so, you know, very post our modern day and closer to the sort of genre era books. So not quite there, but just closer. So I'm interested to see, like, the genesis of genre books really showed us how we got from this place to the genre era, and so it's really interesting, or it will be really interesting, to kind of see a further transitional age. So that was kind of like the catalyst, and the genre is the aftermath, the sort of genre is the aftermath, and this will be some kind of like midway bridge, and I'm really interested to see what that looks like. After that, I will be continuing on the next 3 books in the Magisterium series by Holly Black and Cassandra Clare. This is a middle grade series following Callum Hunt. He has basically been destined to be evil from the day he was born and be the worstest and the strongest ever, and he is also a disabled main character. So it's kind of just a continuation from the first series where he's training or whatever, and then he finds out this fact about himself and is really stressed out about the results of what that could mean. So I will be reading the next 3 books in that series, which I think completes the series, which is the Copper Gauntlet, the Bronze Key, and the Silver Mask. The next book I will be reading is Mirror's Edge by Scott Westerfeld. That is the last book that's out of the Imposters series. Frey's return to the city of her birth is not going to be an easy one. Her and her significant other have to take on new faces and bodies and infiltrate the Shreve. And her sister Rafi is no longer her twin in features, but still her twin by birth. Who knows what she's going to do? Are the sisters on the same side? Or are they on opposite sides? Who knows? Not me, because I haven't read the second book. I'll be reading it next week, so. And that's the 3rd book. But I'll have read the 2nd book by October. Next is Blackout by Mira Grant. That is the next book in the feedback series, which is a... Wow, you're just going to chug that water too? Am I interrupting you? She's going to run out of water in a minute. Anyway, Blackout by Mira Grant is the next book in the feedback series. The feedback series is about modern... Nope, wrong. It's about a zombie apocalypse pandemic situation where we try to go on with life as usual, despite the fact that there's a zombie outbreak. And social media, reporters and stuff are more trusted than actual, media. So that's what the book's about. No stress. Not anything like real life at all. No, I read the first book already, and I'm reading the 2nd book in a couple of days, and it's Shauna McGuire, aka Mira Grant, writes absolutely fantastic horror, and I just love it. And so I'm really excited about reading this next book. Then we have Games Wizards Play by Diane Duane. Hopefully, maybe you guys have seen my childhood rereads about So You Want to Be a Wizard by Diane Duane. Those books were part of my childhood. Games Wizards Play is the last book in that series. It came out not a few years ago, but not within the realm of years I had been reading it. And it is just a continuation of the story of Kit and Nita and Nita's sister, Darianne, and the reason I didn't read it with my childhood rereads was, 1, I was burnt out on the books, and 2, it just came out so much later than the other books that I didn't feel that it would count as a childhood reread, and so I just didn't read it. I will be reading it this month, though, so that I can officially mark that all as read and mark it off my book. Then we have Sword in the Stars by A.R. Capetta and Corey McCarthy. This is a gender-bent sci-fi Arthurian retelling? Knights of the Round Table retelling? What do we call those? Anyway, it is a it's in the future, sci-fi, set in space, gender-bent, all kinds of stuff retelling, and I enjoyed the first one a ton, so I'm really hopeful that the next book is just as good. It is just a continuation off of the first book. I'm hoping I can get my hands on it as an audiobook, but I don't know if the audiobook exists, so if I have to read it with my eyes, I will, but anyway. And the last book for my series continuations for next month is going to be The Odd Sisters by Serena Valentino. That is the next book in the Villains series, not to be mistaken for Katie Roberts' Villains series, but it is a sort of where you get the backstory of all of the villains and why they did what they did, and it almost gives them a sympathetic reasoning for why they've done the things they've done, and you sort of they're nuts and you don't support their decisions, but also you kind of understand it. And the people who have been pulling the strings for this whole time in the background and driving people to insanity and making them make wild decisions they otherwise would not have made, those 3 people are the Odd Sisters, and we are finally hearing about their story. And it's also time for their reckoning. So I'm hoping that we get kind of a backstory of how they became who they are. We've gotten pieces of it, obviously, throughout all of these books, but I'm hoping that we get a really thorough backstory from them, because as interesting as they are, I'm curious about why they are just this strange, all-powerful entity, and I want more information about them. I appreciate the way that all of these books have sort of tied themselves in together, and I think that it's really interesting. If I had read them all at once, I'm sure there's probably plot holes, but I can't find them because I didn't read them all at once, and so here we are. For other books, I will be reading Not Your Sidekick by C.B. Lee. That is about a place called Andover where superpowers are common but internships are complicated. Jessica Tran is a high school nobody who has no superpowers and is just looking to beef up her college applications when she stumbles upon the perfect paid internship. It turns out, though, that it is for the most heinous supervillain. It gives me kind of hench vibes to read about, but just a little bit more lighthearted, and it's a young adult, I believe, so that changes things a little bit. It's also queer, so, but big hench vibes. Art didn't really directly recommend it, but Art asked me if I had read it and then mentioned that it was good and then carried on about her day, so I'm going to say that Art recommended I read it. Then we have Aetherbound by E.K. Johnston. Pent Hardland's family sees her as a waste of food on their long-haul space cruiser when her genes reveal an undesirable mutation. But if she plays her cards right, she might have a chance to do more than just survive. During a space station layover, Pent escapes and forms a lucky bond with the Brannick twins, the teenage heirs of the powerful family that owns the station. Against all odds, the trio hatches a long-shot scheme to take over the station and thwart the destinies they never wished for. It just seems like a standard, like, sci-fi spaceship young adult book. It'll tide me over until Sanderson's next book is released, you know? Then we have Grown by Tiffany D. Jackson. This is a mystery that exposes horrific secrets hiding behind the limelight and embraces the power of a young woman's voice. Legendary R&B artist Corey Fields spots Enchanted Jones at an audition, and her dreams of becoming a famous singer take flight, until Enchanted wakes up with blood on her hands and zero memory of the previous night. Who killed Corey Fields? Before there was a dead body, Enchanted's dreams had turned into a nightmare because behind Corey's charm and star power was a controlling dark side. Now he's dead, the police are at the door, and all signs point to Enchanted. I'm really interested in this. I've heard that it's very heavy. I've read Tiffany D. Jackson's other book, and it was also, Monday's Not Coming, I believe was the title. It was also really heavy to understand and read, and also dealt with memory loss due to, I assume, trauma. In Monday's Not Coming, it was due to trauma. I think this is gonna be very R. Kelly-esque, and that documentary was very hard for me to watch. Just in general, it was very hard for me to watch. It's very heavy. So we'll see. I believe it's a young adult thriller, so it shouldn't be too much, but we'll see. Then we have Miss Peregrines Home for Peculiar, that word is very hard for me to say, Children by Ransom Riggs. You've probably heard of this book. We have the entire collection downstairs. I will be listening to it mostly, but I know that it has pictures, so I will be referencing the books. They don't belong to me, they do belong to Isabella, but they're there. It's this school of kids that are just kind of odd, and a very strange collection of curious photographs are at an abandoned orphanage of these children, and as the story opens, it's about 16-year-old Jacob journeying to a remote island off the coast of Wales where he discovers the crumbling ruins of that orphanage. So I don't know why there are more books. I don't remember how it ended when I read it a long time ago, which I have read it before. This would technically be a childhood reread, except it's just one book. I never read the other book. So we'll see what happens when I read the other books. Then we have Watch Over Me by Nina LaCour. Mila is used to being alone. Maybe that's why she said yes to the opportunity, living in the remote place among the flowers and the fog and the crash of waves far below. But she hadn't known about the ghost. This seems like kind of a slow burn paranormal horror, and Mila has like some memories that she hasn't really unpacked or dealt with. So is it a contemporary pretending to be a horror, or is it a horror pretending to be a contemporary? We'll find out, because I will bitch about it if it's the first one, but we'll find out. Then we have some advanced reader copies that I am going to be trying to get through next month. I'm going to try and read next month. I am trying to stay more on top of those things, and especially make sure that I have all of my reviews and stuff scheduled out at least for the next few months. At the moment, they're currently scheduled out to January, which makes my life a lot easier, but I would like to have them a little bit further scheduled out, so this is where I'm at. I will be reading Cold by Mariko Tamaki, A Boy, a Murder, a Girl, a Secret. It's a haunting young adult novel about a shocking crime in a quiet town and 4 students who knew too much and said too little. I've read Mariko's other writing, and so I think I own, I swear, yeah, this one, Laura Dean Keeps Breaking Up With Me, is also by Mariko Tamaki. I'm excited for that. Then we have The Younger Wife by Sally Hepworth. This is a thriller horror, very exciting for the time of the month. Stephen Aston is getting married again. The only problem is he's still married to his first wife, even though she is in a care facility for dementia. But he'll take care of that easily by divorcing her, even if his adult daughters protest, because he's a piece of shit. You say till death do us part, but just kidding. Tully and Rachel Aston look upon Heather as nothing but an interloper. Heather is the same age as Rachel and even younger than Tully. Clearly, she's a gold digger and after their father's money. Heather has secrets that she's keeping close and reasons of her own for wanting to marry Stephen. With their mother unable to speak for herself, Tully and Rachel are determined to get to the truth of their family's secrets, with the new wife closing in and who their father really is. But will getting to the truth unleash the most dangerous impulses in all of them? This is one of those books where you don't really know who the bad guy is, and sometimes I hate those and sometimes I love those. It just depends. I have read Sally Hepworth's other writing and enjoyed it, so we'll see. Sally Hepworth wrote The Wife Upstairs, which was a retelling of a book that I have aggressively vivid memories of seeing the play for, but I couldn't. Jane Eyre, I think? Jane Eyre. Right. Moving on. Practically Pagan by Maria de Blasi. This is a nonfiction, like, paganism, like, tips and tricks kind of book, but it's kind of just, like, everyday magical living situation. I don't believe it is Wiccan. It did not indicate it was Wiccan. I am not Wiccan, and so that works well for me. I'm hoping that this is not Wiccan, just because it's not a religion I practice. However, if it is, that's fine. I'll still review it as is. Then we have The Watchers by A.M. Shine. You can't see them, but they can see you. The forest isn't charted on any map. Every car breaks down at its tree line. Mina's is no different. Left stranded, she is forced in the dark woodland only to find a woman shouting, urging Mina to run to a concrete bunker. As the door slams behind her, the building is besieged by screams. Mina finds herself in a room with a wall of glass and an electric light that activates at nightfall when the Watchers come above ground. These creatures emerge to observe their captive humans, and terrible things happen to anyone who doesn't reach the bunker in time. Afraid and trapped among strangers, Mina is desperate for answers. Who are the Watchers and why are these creatures keeping them imprisoned, keen to watch their every move? Now, this is sort of a low expectation horror for me. The story sounds amazing and it sounds super, super interesting. However, some of the reviews and stuff, we'll see. And I really struggle with cishet white men writing about women in horror, especially because horror, I think, really requires you to understand the innate, almost animalistic ways that people react to things. And if you are writing it and your main character identifies as something that you do not, then you're not necessarily going to get those impulses 100% correct. It's something that annoys me with Riley Sager's writing. It's something that annoys the fuck out of me, out of the guy who wrote The Silent Patient and The Maidens, Alex Nicolaitis, I think. That his writing drives me fucking up the wall because the way he writes women makes me want to bang my head against a wall. That's my concern. I'm just hoping that it doesn't end up that way. Then we have The Botanist's Guide to Parties and Poisons by Kate Kahavari. Hands down, not gonna lie, I requested this book for 2 reasons. 1, it sounded like something Bella would like, and 2, the cover's really pretty. Those are not good enough reasons, and here we are. It is a historical thriller. The main character is basically on a race against time to free her wrongly accused professor before he goes behind bars forever. He's being accused of having poisoned a bunch of people at a dinner party because that fact just is the only one that lines up for everybody. So yeah, that's my TBR for the month. It's a little bit all over the place. We've got a lot of like thrillers and a lot of series continuations, like I had said in the beginning. like I said, I'm going to try really hard to focus on that for Clearursht, just because I only have like a couple of physical owned books that I haven't read, or even like digitally owned books that I haven't read, and most of them are comics, so I will obviously be focusing on them first and then moving on to the series continuations and that kind of thing as I work towards fitting with prompts, but that is going to be for next month. Stay on the lookout for that announcement video, though that's going to be coming very soon. I hope that you enjoyed this video. If you didn't enjoy this video, let me know and how I can make it better, and I'll figure it out, do my best. If you did enjoy this video, don't forget to like and subscribe and share. It means a lot to me and it's super helpful. And if you guys have read any of these books or want to read any of these books, let me know in the comments down below. Let me know your thoughts and that kind of thing. I hope you guys are having a great day. Don't forget to take your meds and drink your water and do whatever it is that you need to do today to take care of yourself even a little bit. I will see you guys again on Thursday at 10 a.m. Central Standard Time, and then on Tuesday at 10 a.m. Central Standard Time every single week without fail. I hope you guys have a great day. Okay, thanks, bye.